to the Ringside Renaissance Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back to Ringside Renaissance. I'm Kevin alongside Jesse and Andy, and today we're going over everything in the wrestling world. We got a lot to talk about. AEW, WWE. We're covering all the bases here today. Boys, how you doing?
Good.
Ready to talk some wrestling.
Talk some
Wrestling.
So yeah, as Kevin said, we're going to be talking about news around the wrestling world this past week, and some top storylines that we had discussed and went over, and we're going to jump right into it. First of all, last week on WWE SmackDown, they introduced the new WWE Tag Team Championship titles, and we also learned that the Street Profits are now the number one contenders for those tag titles, who are held by A-Town Down Under, and who is Austin Theory and Grayson Waller.
Yeah, I personally really like the new tag team titles. I think they're beautiful, a good throwback. I like the Raw ones too, of course, but the SmackDown ones are just perfect.
100, dude, they look beautiful. I personally like the presentation of the Raw ones better because you had Awesome Truth, which are more fun to hear in the ring than A-Town Down Under.
Yeah.
But A-Town Down Under is becoming a decent heel tag team. And like they are talented. I don't want to take anything away from them. I can't wait to see if the Street Profits can beat them for the belts.
Mhm.
But if they can't, like, I won't be mad either way, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
and the way they sold the snotty heel of their whole presentation during when they unveiled the new titles and stuff was really, it was in contrast to what Awesome Truth did with their reveal. But I think they played it really well, and like acting like they're like the snotty asshole kind of approach with it. I think they pulled it off very well, and like Andy said, like I think it's real throwback. It's not on the nose with how the whole old tag titles used to look, but it's also very like reminiscent of that. And I think I actually like these better than the Raw ones. They're not as
100%.
gaudy and over the top, and I think they really look really well. And we'll wait and see. I mean, Street Profits earned their number one contender shot in a what was it, a 4-way tag match?
It was a fatal 4-way tag match, which those still confuse me because you only have two men in the ring at one time, and you could tag in anybody you want. But going back to like comparing the Raw or the World Tag titles and the WWE Tag titles, I think I've said this before, the World Tag titles would look great if they didn't look too much like the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
They look almost identical to it, just with red lettering.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see why they're doing it, but
So do I, but then you look at the WWE Tag titles, which look nothing like the Undisputed titles.
Yeah, and like going to the Fatal 4-Way, like I think they're trying to streamline who's number one contenders. They're not because of the premium live events coming up so quickly, and I think they're just trying to streamline who's the next contender for the titles, which to me kind of gets a little bit too much traffic sometimes. It's hard to build. Like, we're just going to throw 4 teams in, and the winner of this is the number one contender. With having lack of time because of the premium live event coming up, I understand why they did it, but we'll see. I'm actually looking forward to seeing if Austin Theory and Grayson Waller can kind of have a semi-long run with the titles as heels and kind of build their credibility and their continuity. I'm sort of excited about it. And later on SmackDown, we saw to begin the show, I believe we had Solo Sokoa show up and having Tamatanga with him, and they had a little interaction with Paul Heyman, which led into later on their little promo they did in the ring where Solo was talking and ended up Tamatanga did a beatdown on Kevin Owens off screen.
yeah.
And he came out through the entrance all bloodied up and beat up, and they're kind of just building this Tamatanga being this crazy wild eye kind of heel,
Psychopathic,
and almost along the
of
same lines of his father, as just being this crazy wild card. And
Haku,
Kevin Owens kind of had a little bit of a fight back, but just kept getting beat down and stuff, and it kind of looked like ketchup to me. It didn't look like real blood, but I think
it really wasn't trickling off of his face. It just kind of looked like it was
dried
painted on there.
It was dried on his
blood?
face. Yeah,
I don't think that
That's
was
what
real blood at all. Just the way it, like I said, like when your face is that bloody, entire face, half the face was a crimson mask, and there's no blood on the ramp, no blood in the ring, just on Solo's hand, which obviously will happen when you touch the cut.
And we didn't see him get busted open. So
No,
if
we
it
didn't
was
see him
real
the entire
blood,
show.
I give him credit, because cool.
But they're trying to build this faction that Solo Sokoa and Tamatanga are in. Are they the new bloodline? Are they a continuation of the old bloodline? You know, there's still some gray area of whether or not they're working with the tribal chief Roman Reigns or if they're kind of going on their own. And Paul Heyman's selling it really well. Paul Heyman is just amazing being there as kind of like the background, giving you that little bit of doubt that something else is going on. You know,
right? And what the hell is an MFT? My MFT.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to decipher that one.
Yeah, motherfucking Tonga. You know,
yeah, I think it says my family tree, but that just doesn't make sense. How we
my friend Tonga.
No,
that's too nice for Solo.
Online says my family tree, but that doesn't make sense to me either.
No.
It's just
I don't know. Yeah, I think he kept saying it, and if they would have just like clarified it, you know, like during it, people could have bought it. And now it's everybody left to their own kind of thoughts on it. But I don't know. Tamatonga's coming in, and that ties into Jacob Fatu is scheduled to be debuting at any time here for WWE. Is he going to side with them? Is he going to be in his own little thing and not be tied to the Bloodline storyline? I mean, I don't see how they could do that, but it's interesting to see how they're going to introduce Jacob Fatu and what he's going to do on the main roster.
I'm excited to see him. I'll say that much. He's done a lot as far as the indie circuit goes.
Yeah.
He's got the name to carry it on. So what a better time to implement him into the Bloodline or even main roster in general than right this upcoming week or the next 2 weeks.
And I really can't wait to see him in a match and see what he can do on WWE and see how he's portrayed. You know, we've already got this psycho look to him, so I want to see him in the ring and see what his moves are. I eventually want to see the other one,
Zilla. I would love to see the son of Umaga show up.
Yeah, who knows
Zilla
at this point? Yeah. Oh, it could be my fucking thumb for the Samoan spot.
So now he's calling Tamatanga his thumb? My right hand thumb.
Yeah. I don't know. But, leading off from that and just stay in the same vein as SmackDown, and I don't know if this is written down, but we might want to touch on it a little bit, is the upcoming draft that's going to be happening between SmackDown and Raw. And I wanted to touch on this because we had talked. Yeah, right. And we had talked about this as far as they released some rules for the draft as being like the champions. It said the champions are protected, which I think that means like the champions can't be drafted to a different show, which in that case would mean Damian Priest is going to stay on Raw. And Cody Rhodes is going to stay on SmackDown. Same with the tag titles and everything else, so that was kind of a weird. I'm not a big fan of the draft in general. I think it kind of, they do the draft and it's like, oh, it's this big split, and then within 3 weeks there's wrestlers crossing over anyway. So I just didn't know what you guys' thoughts were on that, because when I saw the whole rules for the draft, it just kind of made it more muddy and confusing to me.
It's always been an issue with the draft. They do the split, they separate titles, and the next thing you know, Cody's on Raw every Monday night cutting a promo, or vice versa. Like last time they had the draft, what happened the very next day? Judgment Day showed up on SmackDown. It defeats the whole purpose, but maybe this time we could get back to the actual brand splits, and which could lead into a nice Survivor Series, like OG 5-on-5 SmackDown Raw type deal, which I don't know about you guys. I miss those types of matches for Survivor Series. Brand versus brand. I loved that. Champion versus champion. I loved all of that.
I'm not a fan of the brand versus brand, really. I liked the 5-on-5 matches and stuff like that from Survivor Series. So that's cool. And they are starting the draft on SmackDown this time, differently from how they usually do it, starting it on Raw, I believe, in the past. Listen, I remember the first draft and some big tag teams getting split up and stuff, and I wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was stupid, and I feel the same now. I just don't get it. And Cody gonna staying on SmackDown now, that's gonna draw a lot of numbers away from Raw because he was the big part of Raw and being on both. So are they still going to have him show up on Raw and continue stories there? Remains to be seen.
I hope not. Like you said, if they're going to make this draft any type of successful, then they got to stick to the split.
And I don't know if Damian Priest can carry Raw by itself like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand that his first opponent is Jey. We all know that.
Yeah, it just remains to be seen.
Right.
And that's another interesting fact is this draft happens before the Backlash pay-per-view where, you know, what if Jey gets drafted to SmackDown and then just in 2 weeks to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Damian Priest? So that, you know, that if he gets drafted to SmackDown, I'm going to kind of believe that he's not going to win the match at Backlash. So there's a lot of interesting factors. I think having a brand split like this really does muddy the waters. It made sense back when WWE was the only kind of wrestling promotion out there to kind of split it up and almost make it feel like two different companies, even though it was one. But yeah, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic here and just see what they do moving forward with it. But
I hope to see the draft focuses more on NXT call-ups than it does shifting guys between Raw and SmackDown, because I think NXT has an overabundance of excellent talent that is more than ready to make the jump.
Yeah, I don't. That's my thing as far as call-ups with NXT. Like, if the time is not right, it doesn't matter who gets called up. If there's not room for a story and it's not set up correctly, you're probably gonna not get the great look that you should be getting, and you might get released.
I think they become a victim of like oversaturation. They have so much talent that it's hard to keep everybody relevant at the same time. And, you know, it ends up becoming like, with no fault of the talent or even maybe the booking, that some of these wrestlers get buried in the company because there's just so much going on and so much quality talent in the company now, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I'm going to switch gears over to AEW for a minute. The Dynasty pay-per-view just happened. We saw a great match between Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson. Then we watched Dynamite, where they kind of alluded to the match a little bit and Bryan Danielson's injury. And they're kind of working this as it's a legitimate injury, but I don't know if I still think it's storyline. I think it's kind of just based more around making Will Ospreay a babyface, showing sympathy after the match. And I don't know. I think it's kind of just a means to an end to give Danielson some time off and to kind of push Ospreay as a babyface moving forward.
Which they are kind of doing a good job. If I may bring up the different style match we had on Dynamite, which was the casino roulette match.
Yeah.
Where two people start the match, and every, minute, 2 minutes, another person came out, and whoever scores the first pinfall or submission wins. And the winner of that match gets to face Roderick Strong for his belt at Double or Nothing. It was a weird match. I think you guys can both agree on that one. It was kind of hilarious to watch.
Yeah.
Had some fun spots in the match. We got a little bit of a return of Jay Lethal, which
looks so good.
I love seeing Jay Lethal, but I wish he had a bigger spot in the match rather than just kind of being the butt end of everyone's moves to be knocked out of the ring. And he never really had a solid couple minutes in the ring to perform at all. But that match was really, if you paid attention to it, it was really mostly between Ospreay and Switchblade.
Yeah, and I appreciate what AEW does with trying to make new types of style matches that we don't normally see over in WWE. It may not always hit and make sense, but they do try to do something a little different. And I really didn't expect to see I was surprised to see Will Ospreay come out and actually be in that match. I thought he was going to, have to take a week off too after such a hard match with Bryan Danielson, which I do think it's being played into the story that he's hurt, but we'll see.
He's there for the grind, I don't know, me personally, it might just be me personally, but as soon as I saw Ospreay come out, I knew who was going to win. They're not, they weren't going to have, even if he didn't take
you're not going to have him lose that match.
Right. Even if he didn't take the pin, Ospreay was going to be the one that won that match. And which is interesting to me because I really thought they were going to build an Ospreay Swerve feud, but now they're having him go for the, Roderick Strong's title, which I don't foresee him losing to Roderick Strong. So if he's holding that title, then he can't be in the main event picture. Okay, so This is something that if I don't fully agree with it, it's still cool because it's not expected. It wasn't something I was expecting to happen. I thought he was going to go for the world title right away. So to have him kind of go for a
glad he's
workhorse
not,
title,
though.
right? I think I appreciated that they're doing that with him instead of just trying to push him right up and push Swerve out right away.
Right.
And we're going to have to see, him kind of fight his way through the Undisputed Kingdom too.
Right.
Like I could see him putting on good matches with almost every member of the Undisputed Kingdom, which I would think we could all agree we would love to see an Adam Cole versus Will Ospreay.
Adam Cole came out at the end with the Undisputed Kingdom to kind of match up against Will Ospreay and stare him down. It looked like Adam Cole was taking his time walking too.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he's ready to go yet.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't know if he was continuing, if he's selling that leg, if they're still trying to make it like he's hurt, or if he really legitimately is. But
yeah,
it's interesting, and I'm not I don't want to see Adam Cole. Honestly, it just is too much for me. Like when your fiance's a better build than you are, and he's constantly hurt. And I'm not trying to like put him down because there's a lot of wrestlers I like that are constantly hurt, but it's like. At this point, like if you're constantly going to be hurt, like how can you be pushed in any sort of major feud or storyline? Like when you're just can't be reliable, and it's tough,
I appreciate him as like a heel. I feel like he can be very condescending and get a reaction from the crowd like that.
Yeah. So
not for nothing, I miss Adam Cole's entrance, like just Adam Cole's entrance. The Here Comes the Boom or All About the Boom.
Definitely.
I'd rather hear It's All About the Boom than this generic rock track for the Undisputed Kingdom.
Yeah.
Even when they were in WWE and it was the Undisputed Era, they had a dope entrance. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with it, and I really don't.
You don't care.
I don't really care. Is this possibly building towards an MJF return? Because the Undisputed Kingdom is the group that ultimately cost MJF the World Heavyweight title, and he's been out injured. I'm not exactly sure. They've really been kind of playing it close to the vest with what's going on with MJF, but I saw he's making an appearance at like a Comic-Con soon, and
for AEW.
For AEW, and they're also having the Forbidden Door pay-per-view come up soon, which is in Long Island, which is his hometown. So did they bring Adam Cole back to try to make their faction relevant again for MJF's return? Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Interesting.
I've been thinking about that and seeing where they're going with it. And if anything leads to MJF coming back and being who we know he can be, like I'm all in for it.
You want him to come back as a heel, or you want him to come back as the face that he left as?
I just want him to come back. I like him better as a heel, but if he's going after the Undisputed Kingdom, he has to come back as a babyface. But
that's true.
I prefer watching MJF over half the talent they got in ring right now.
Yeah,
MJF
makes AEW so much better.
So much better.
100%.
So much better. I tune in every week just to watch MJF for sure.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
I'll tune into the press conferences to hear MJF eat a pickle and yell at the interviewers,
I look forward to AEW TV when MJF is on it. Like I saw this last episode of Dynamite, and I'm like waiting to turn it off. But like when MJF's gonna be on the show and be like something in the show, like I look forward to that
moment.
Right.
And I'm the same way with FTR, but they're just not the same anymore. But yeah, MJF, I'm really looking forward to coming back.
Would you have him wrestle at Forbidden Door in Long Island, or would you just have him return at the end?
I would just have him return.
Yeah, I agree.
Save his return match for All In or something. Like build a big feud back up with the Undisputed Kingdom and have it all come to blows at All In. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, Forbidden Door is its own type of thing. That's not just straight AEW for stories like that. So I think a return would make more sense.
Yeah, and I could see like the same thing happening where Wardlow. I'm not going to try to project too much, but there being dissension again in Undisputed Kingdom, and them turning on Wardlow, then MJF coming back to save Wardlow, and kind of like that, having them team back up a little bit. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards it. But like I said, I'm not going to get too far ahead of her.
They should hire you to book.
Get the wagon ahead of the horse at all.
Throughout so many companies, you got the Bullet Club and then turning into Undisputed Era and then the Undisputed Kingdom. Like these guys
Well,
to just keep
yeah.
getting together in these groups and
Yeah.
backstabbing each other.
Yeah.
Like they
Like, how many
can't. They
times
must
you're
not be
gonna see
that
the
smart.
same
Yeah.
storyline?
Mm.
You know?
It's just recycled stuff. I think, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
when you just type up stuff on message boards your whole life for 10 people to read, I think after a while you run out of ideas.
Agree.
In the same vein of AEW, we have during AEW Dynasty, the scapegoat Jack Perry returned, and he cost FTR the World Tag Team titles, helped the Young Bucks, the EVPs, get the tag titles, and as we saw on, there's a lot to unfold here with what we saw in Dynamite. He has aligned himself with the Young Bucks and Okada, and a lot of interesting stuff coming up here. I really don't know how else to break it down. It's just
We just have to say it.
Yeah, we had the Young Bucks showing up in their Suburban or whatever it was, getting out, and then another car kind of spun the block and came up, and who else was it but the badass scapegoat Jack Perry?
I thought it was funny when they were all walking in, and then the security's like, no, Jack's not allowed in. Jack's not allowed in. And they're like, step aside.
Yeah, we run this place, not you.
And then you had that little segment backstage with that. I can't remember, for the life of me, I can't think of that interviewer's
Alex
name.
Marvez.
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
He's trying to get a scoop from everybody coming through the door, and Matt and Nick Jackson just patted him on the back.
I need
Okada
to know.
patted
I
him on the
need to
back.
know. The
Jack
world
Perry-
needs to know.
Yeah. I need the scoop. It was a little bit weird, but like you knew something was up when no one was saying anything.
Yeah, Officer Bar Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then to close Dynamite, you had that moment with Jack, and Jack Perry came out, asked Tony Khan to come out to the ring, shake my hand and reinstate me.
Yeah.
Shakes his hand, and then when he hugs him, you saw again. You had mentioned it, that crazed look in Jack Perry's eye, and the evil smile.
The Danny Masterson.
Danny Masterson.
Yeah.
And then he just punches Tony Khan in the gut with the microphone, and I guess that made Tony Khan lose consciousness for a minute.
Well,
because he was laying there like a rag doll, not moving. And then I think it clicked like, oh, I should grab my stomach, because then he started grabbing at his stomach. Which led to the EVPs and Okada, well, the Elite, all coming out and acting like they were in defense of Tony Khan.
Getting them up, yeah.
And then it looked like there was a second I thought they were going to hit the EVP trigger.
Yeah, they teased it, yeah.
And then Okada's like, no, thumbs up.
Yeah.
A little bit of nod or whatever, if you want, at Evolution back in the day. The TK driver, what the fuck?
Okay, so this is what I don't understand. They're going to tease the fucking trigger Bucks triggered my asshole, right? And then fucking not do it. They're going to tease it, not do it, but then do a move on him anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have rather seen the EVP trigger than the TK driver.
Is that what it's called, the EVP trigger? Why is everything a fucking trigger?
Yeah. I don't know.
Because they're easily triggered.
A trigger or a tiger? Yeah. A tiger driver 745. But like
the TK driver is just a fucking tombstone pile driver mixed with, I don't even know.
It was
just a tombstone pile driver.
It was a fucking clown show to me. It was so fucking dumb.
I'm not sitting here defending that segment at all.
Well, listen, this is how I see it, because Jack Perry came out first and he was getting some love from the fans and trying to get a little love fest going, and they were rooting for him. There was a little bit of CM Punk chants too, and then they kind of quelled them off. Yeah.
Oh, cry me a river.
Yeah, that too. And then so Jack Perry calls out Tony Khan, like you said, and he's kind of giving him credit and saying this is the best place. I remember wrestling here and blah, 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 blah. We don't care. But for a second, I thought it was just going to be like a love fest between them, and he was just going to shake his hand and reinstate him, and then it was just going to go off the air. And I was like, oh my God, you brought all this back for this. So at least they hit him, they hit Tony Khan, which,
okay,
he must have not feared for his life that time. But
is Tony Khan going to be in the Jacksonville draft room today wearing a neck brace?
And I think the reason they didn't hit him with the EVP trigger was because it was easier to not hurt him and do the other move. and make it look a little more believable.
And
that driver looked like shit.
I'm gonna rant for a second here, but like,
go for it. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Tony Khan was all for, and he's come out publicly saying he was all for the brawl-in whatever footage to be shown. He was backing the Bucks for showing that fucking footage, which means he was backing fucking Jack Perry's side of the story. Why is there animosity there in any way to begin with? Like, it doesn't make fucking sense. Like, if you look at it logically, it doesn't make sense. Like, okay, so I don't like Jack Perry, but I'm going to allow footage to be put out to try to like prove his side of the story or prove CM Punk's this bad guy. Well, if you're proving him to be a bad guy, you're proving Jack Perry to be the good guy. So then you're on the side of the Young Bucks showing this footage, and you publicly came out and said you were on the side of the Young Bucks showing this fucking footage. But now all of a sudden, Jack Perry and the Bucks are going to fucking drive your dick into the mat, and fucking you're going to be... Dude, the only thing positive I can see from this is if Tony Khan does not come on air for fucking AEW TV anymore, they'll be the only positive that came out of this. Because, and then, okay, so then nobody can stop these dastardly heels, right? Like, everybody just lets it happen. The owner of your company is getting fucking beat up in the ring. Everybody just lets it happen. Then all of a sudden, 3 referees come out, and Aubrey Edwards is the one to scare them off to the back. Like, no, they're not intimidated by anybody but Aubrey Edwards.
And only after they left the main stage did the rest of the locker room come out, including Tony Khan's father.
But when they went back through the fucking curtain, all the baby faces came out through the same fucking curtain.
Like, you definitely just passed them.
Make it make sense.
You didn't miss them.
Is Bryan Danielson gonna make sure that they're fired with cause?
I wonder if he's more in fear for his life at this wrestling event.
I wanted to say it.
Than at All In, it just fucking stupid. And then, okay, so if you want to just look at it like to try to be like a storyline, Tony Khan's the fucking boss. He can just fire all of them right now. But they're going to make some sort of storyline. No, we're EVPs. We can't be fired. You sure fucking can. Because if you're a vice president of a company, the president can fucking fire you. That's how business works. Like,
sounds like they need the final boss.
Yeah,
it sounds like they need a booker.
Tony Khan's father coming out at the end.
Is Shad Khan gonna form this like ultimate group to take down the Elite, led by Trevor Lawrence?
Said it all. Like, is this really what my money went into? That's just what I got out. He did not look like, I know they were probably trying to sell, like, he looked concerned for Tony Khan's well-being, but
this is what wrestling is?
Yeah. That's what I think that look was like, oh boy, this is what we got ourselves into.
Oh my God. And you see like NFL put on their like actual news page that like Tony Khan got attacked by wrestlers at his wrestling event.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I gotta look at that because
they're great.
They're trying to draw more viewers and more people's eyes into it, which is, I can see what they're doing, but the way they pulled it off is.
I just want to at least
comical.
Tonight stupid. During round 1 of the NFL draft, I just want a camera shot of the war room in Jacksonville and see if Tony Khan's even there, and if he's wearing a fucking neck brace.
He better be. If Roderick Strong wore that neck brace that long, Tony Khan better have a neck brace on for the next year, and like. Order of protection against the Bucks and Jack Perry.
Did you also see after the TK driver how he was laying there with his hands folded like he was a dead body in a casket?
Dude,
he played. Yeah, he sold it real well. Yeah,
I wish he would sell the company. But they fucking his hair, the way his hair is too. Like, what way to go along with CM Punk saying he's a clown? He looks like he's wearing a fucking clown wig. Like the way his hair ruffles around and shit.
Dude, he's wearing a suit that's 2 sizes too big.
He's a fucking. It fit him before he started doing coke.
Child that you had to dress up for your cousin's wedding.
I don't know.
If I had, $1 for every time that I was at a live AEW show and I heard people screaming and making comments when he came out about him being a cokehead, like, I'm surprised he could lay there and not
move.
I mean, when your eyes are pinned for 3 hours straight, just.
They didn't zoom in on his face because his jaw was fucking moving the whole time.
His jaw racking.
Moving on. I'm not going to bury it too much, but I didn't like it at all. No. I thought it was dumb. Yeah. Anybody can kind of have their own feelings and opinions on it, but I think they're kind of just keep burying themselves with this whole, I'm excited to see the ratings and see how not good they did.
Yeah.
So next on our list is kind of a wild card. At the last TNA event, Matt Hardy made a surprise appearance at the TNA event and showed up as broken Matt Hardy.
Delete.
And then afterwards stated on social media
Fucking
and on
delete
his
your
YouTube
career.
channel, I believe, that he is actually still a free agent and not signed with anybody.
He
Damn.
is. He's on an appearance only basis with pretty much any company he wants right now.
That
It's-
sucks. I was hoping he's not going to end up being part of this whole Uncle Howdy shit.
He might
fucking
not.
Better not.
He might not, because why would WWE wouldn't let him appear on other
Not
shows
even
if he
that,
was
but
signed?
to show up on TNA, like if it's by appearance only, that's one thing. But to show up and then hit a twist of fate on their main champion, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he.
Yeah, that's not a
solidifying
one-off.
these with- No, it
That's
can't.
not
I
a
feel like if it's a
one-off.
one-off, what was the fucking point?
Right.
Yeah.
But like, if he's tied to this whole Wyatt Six thing, Uncle Howdy, whatever they're planning, it immediately is turning me away from it.
Oh, then I hope they do
Agreed.
it.
Fuck.
I hope he comes back. I hope Uncle Howdy comes in the ring and takes off his mask and it's fucking Matt Hardy. It's not even Bo
no.
Dallas.
It's been Uncle
Matt
Howdy.
Hardy's. It was
Uncle Hardy, not Uncle
It was
Howdy.
me, Dallas. It was me the whole time. Oh
You
my
Uncle
Ben
Uncle Matt
Hyde.
the whole time.
God,
Uncle
so
Matty.
fucking beautiful. Please.
No, just let
Please.
Taylor Rotunda cook.
We won't
Yeah.
have to let Kevin speak about it anymore then. He'll
Oh,
be completely
I'm gonna
turned
be
off.
speaking about it until it happens. I'm convinced we're gonna get the payoff for this QR code Uncle Howdy crap.
Yeah.
Hopefully during the draft, but at the very least by Backlash. I don't
Yeah.
see this dragging out all the way to SummerSlam like we initially predicted.
Well, I hope it's good with the whole Play-Doh stuff and that cave. And it's a little interesting, some of it, where they go with it, the creative part of it. I'm not going to speak on it much, but to drag it out. But in that documentary on Bray Wyatt, they spoke about doing the caves and their paranormal investigations also. And then there's some interesting
It
like
looked to
lore
be
on it.
the same
Yeah.
cave that they were in, but then again, there's a million caves in the world that look like that. So
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to pick a cave in Europe, well, more specifically Slovenia, which isn't too far from France, kind of led me to think, oh, okay, maybe this is going to happen at Backlash. But it's like, during what? Like,
I think
what
they're going
part
to
of-
drag it out.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the teases, like TV only teases, are kind of. I know they do some stuff in the arena, but like to have all this stuff just popping up mostly on TV and trying to follow the
Right.
crumb
If
trails.
you're
And,
at the arena during that, you're not finding out about that shit till you're home.
yeah.
And I don't
well,
want to see any, Firefly Funhouse characters just pop up in the arena.
No,
I'm
I
over
just,
it.
Uncle Howdy, I feel that you could build a lot with Sister Abigail. Everybody always, the initial angle for Sister Abigail was Alexa Bliss was always supposed to play that role.
And I don't like Alexa Bliss for it. I wasn't
See,
a
I
fan
do.
of the whole thing. Yeah.
I don't like
I
Alexa
would-
Bliss in
I-
general.
Her and Nikki
Yeah.
Cross makes more sense because she always had that kind of crazy character.
Hmm.
But if we're going with people that all had a connection to Bray Wyatt,
Yeah.
it's got to be Alexa. Nikki Cross wasn't really affected by Bray at all.
Yeah,
Well,
and you
fair
know
enough.
these teasers keep popping up, and who's to say what it is or what it's not? And
Yeah.
Right? We
You know
could
what?
be completely wrong, honestly.
Yeah. Might be something else totally. I
Like
guess
someone
until it
knew.
happens.
I saw a
Yeah.
rumor that said Joey Gacy could be connected to this.
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy.
I'm just gonna let that one go. But
I don't
feel
know.
like if you want to bring people up from NXT, Joey Gacy he's not horrible.
Yeah. So till it happens, and more happens with it, and we're actually for sure where we
Yeah.
won't drag it out
Yeah,
anymore.
we don't
but
have too much.
Yeah.
It just, like I said, it continues to be a thing, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think they're, again, with such a saturated roster and so many stars with so many storylines, and there's only so much TV time to happen, it might end up getting lost in the shuffle if it's not done correctly, and time will tell to see if it is or not.
Yeah.
We have a little story from a legend, Goldberg, who recently went on a podcast and talked, and they were asking him if he had any plans, past, present, or future, to sign with AEW, and he had some real choice words to say about AEW when asked about it. And
Really?
yeah. Oh yeah.
What did he say? I didn't see this.
Oh yeah. You can find it online.
Before you get to the main line of what he said, he did say that in the past he did have extensive talks with Tony Khan.
Yeah.
Okay.
About potentially coming over, joining.
Mm-hmm.
But it really fell on the fact that Tony didn't really have much creatively for Goldberg, which not a lot of people do. But then, Jesse, go ahead and say it.
There was a lot, and I'm not quoting him here. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but he went on to say that he thinks AEW's product is very cheesy. He also said that, it's
coming from Goldberg. I feel
he didn't pull any punches, and also said that he thought about it. Like I said, I'm not quoting him here. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but he said that once he thought more about it, that if he went to work for AEW, he wouldn't be able to look himself in the mirror at the end of the day. Oh yeah. Yeah,
he must not watch his own matches.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
let's not even talk about Crown Jewel against the Undertaker.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just not talk about.
Killed my favorite wrestler.
I'm surprised he didn't hurt anybody on that podcast too.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't concuss himself on the way out there.
Yeah, he might have. We don't know that. We don't know the backstage details, but it was just interesting because there was always kind of like this little rumor going around of whether Goldberg was going to sign, and then once Sting signed with AEW, people the rumor kind of grew because of Goldberg's tie to Sting, and but now I think we can kind of put to bed Goldberg having his retirement match.
Thank God,
under the AEW banner. So
Goldberg's retirement match was the entire end of his career.
I think if you put his last 20 matches together, it'd be the length of a regular retirement match.
Yeah.
So
you could piece something good together from that, maybe.
We're going to go back into some World Heavyweight title picture to wrap this up. First of all, the AEW champion Swerve Strickland. Congrats to Swerve Strickland for winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
We saw him in a title eliminator match on Dynamite, which was
don't make sense.
All-time classic. It was an absolute dream match against Kyle Fletcher. And so
Don Callis.
This was another reason why I was really kind of frustrated with the Elite Tony Khan angle, is that you just crowned Swerve Strickland your new champion. I think that the primetime spot in their show should have been dedicated to something to do with Swerve and to kind of build maybe his next feud, his next little program he's running, but instead they had it so they could play on the fucking playground in the middle of the ring for the last 15 minutes.
He literally had the last match of Dynasty, and then comes on the next televised event for AEW and has the first match. Yeah, back-to-back matches.
I feel like that's in a way disrespecting your world champion. Like Jesse said, he earned that title. Give him the last spot on the card for Dynamite.
Build something. Something.
Yeah. An eliminator match. Okay, cool. Swerve won.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah. At least build it throughout the show till the end of the show and have them have a match. It doesn't even have to be an eliminator match.
Just have him compete, or even let him cut a promo.
Yeah.
But yet you're gonna have fucking Willow Nightingale
celebration
and Mercedes Moné cut the absolute most garbage promo I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, you just completely forget about your world champion.
Back to Swerve.
Yeah, I think he got buried in the whole episode. Like I said, just having a throwaway eliminator match. Everybody knew he was going to win. You ain't going to have him win the title, then lose to Kyle Fletcher the 3 nights later. I feel like they should have, even if it wasn't the end of the show, somewhere in the show kind of promote what's next for the world champion. He didn't talk. He didn't have a promo after the match, before the match. Came out, had a match.
He even grabbed the microphone during his entrance and say, "Whose house?"
Yeah, but it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. You're projecting him as being the top guy in your company, and you're letting other storylines dictate your show, and I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, I'm glad he's a champion, and after the win in Dynasty, you had those pictures of him kind of back in the locker room, shower area, like Jordan-esque, winning the championship with the trophy, with the belt, which I thought was cool, but give him some props, man. Beginning the show like that, stupid.
I didn't like it at all.
No, yeah. Becky Lynch.
Oh, we're jumping to Raw now?
Well, I just wanted to bring this up because it's not written. I feel like that was kind of a waste of an opportunity to give the title to Becky again, because everyone complains that she doesn't put over other talent, and she was supposed to be on vacation, then comes back because the title's vacated. I don't know. I didn't like it. That's all.
Well, that's in the same vein because we're talking about World Heavyweight Championships and she's the women's champion. I think WWE was kind of put in a tough spot with Rhea Ripley getting hurt, and they don't really have anybody else over to carry that title right now. And it wasn't her decision. She didn't call Triple H and say, hey, put the title on me. He called her, and
she was in the big title match at WrestleMania against Rhea. So who, if she deserved it more than anybody else,
and
it makes sense.
And on top of that, like, props to her for wanting to take a vacation and putting it off to come out and try to help the company out,
Yeah.
Because she could have just been like, no, I'm fucking going on my vacation, and not even answered the call. But she answered the call.
I guess I'm just a Liv Morgan guy, and for
I am
having
too.
4 failed attempts at that title, like, I feel like eventually it's got to pay off, which maybe this is leading to Becky versus Liv for the title.
Even if it is, I don't think Liv's going to get it yet. I like Liv more too, to a certain extent in some ways, but it wouldn't have made sense for them to put the title on Liv right off now when they're building this whole revenge tour type of
I do agree
thing.
that her winning the title in the Battle Royale would have been more of a cop-out than putting the belt on Becky.
Yeah.
I feel like there was more people you could have given an opportunity to.
Yeah, and I don't think, look at face facts and kind of keep personal feelings out of it. Like, when Rhea gets healthy again, a Rhea Becky rematch for the title is probably going to draw more than a Liv Rhea match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Liv Morgan at all, and I'm trying to keep my personal feelings out of it. But when I look at it, like, just look at it objectively, would I'd rather see a Becky Rhea match or a Liv Rhea match? And I'd have to say Becky Rhea. Like as far as believability goes, Rhea would just wreck Liv Morgan,
Right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, they had to pull an audible, and that kind of sucks when any company gets put in that position where your champion gets hurt and you have to put someone else in that position,
Yeah.
And
speaking on Liv, I'm hoping we're going to get this Liv and Dom storyline going, and she's maybe going to try to steal Dom from Rhea in some type of way.
Are we going to have the second ladder match in history for custody of Dom?
Possibly, quite possibly.
Liv doesn't mind being on bottom.
Will she try to wiggle her way into the Judgment Day or cause dissension or pull him away?
I think there's plenty of dissension enough in Judgment Day right now.
Yeah.
I hope Liv Morgan gets another drug charge and gets suspended again, honestly.
Oh.
He was
come
arrested
on.
in a state where weed's legal for having an overabundance of it. Like, come on.
It is what it
is.
Or so,
she's going to get another take the DWI for MJF in the car. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Moving on, we got the World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso is now the number 1 contender to face Damian Priest for the title. They had kind of a interesting little promo in the ring, which was kind of half babyface, half heel for Damian Priest. And I don't know what they're doing with that, nor do I really care with this feud. I really am not invested in this at all. I'm not bought in on Damian Priest being the champion yet. I'm not bought into Jey Uso really being a world heavyweight champion. So
as he said, is Jey Uso just another bump in the road for Damian Priest?
He's that's pretty much what he called him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
I mean, I think it would do Priest better if he obviously gets the win over Jey and carries the title for a bit. I would like to this eventually culminate in Drew versus Priest. Whereas Drew gets screwed again by CM Punk. Because you could have a bunch of different storylines sprouting just from what happened at WrestleMania. You could build up to CM Punk's return and to fight Drew McIntyre, hopefully by SummerSlam. And then you could have anything with Damian. Damian could fight anybody for that title and have a good match. I wasn't a big Damian Priest guy until now that he has the title and he's gotten more of the spotlight and he's been allowed to talk more. It came out on Monday Night Raw after JD and Santos Escobar lost to Andrade and Ricochet, and then Priest comes out and beats the ever-loving shit out of the two of them, and then leans over the rope and tells Dominic and JD, I don't need anybody, you guys need me. I feel like there's where you could potentially see Judgment Day split, either whether it's in the draft or personally,
Yeah.
I would like to see if Damian's going to drop the title to anybody, it should be at SummerSlam to Finn Balor.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I really don't care, honestly.
That's just what they got
see.
right now.
We'll see if the title can make him, or not, and how he really carries himself with it, and if he can build any good story with it and have good opponents, and then with the draft, who knows where people are going to land, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the championship match coming up at Backlash between Jey Uso and Damian Priest, like I said, I'm just not too invested in it. Hopefully there's something coming up in the next coming weeks that kind of helps me buy in a little bit more, but I think they're just using I think Jey Uso is just a means to an end with this, and it just doesn't, I don't know. I'm not bought in on it right now. Flipping over to the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship, and finally, AJ Styles has earned a number one contender match against the champion Cody Rhodes. This one I'm a little bit more intrigued by. I think there's a lot more backstory that WWE usually doesn't put into their storylines, but the people that know. And like AJ Styles and Cody were both like heads of the Bullet Club at one point, and I don't think they've ever had a match against each other. Maybe in Japan, but I don't think so.
Never. The only member of that family AJ's ever been in the ring with was his father, Dusty.
Correct.
Yeah. Back in, I believe it was TNA, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Yep. So I'm really intrigued. I think they're both really good in ring competitors. AJ Styles has been one of my favorite wrestlers, like current wrestlers in wrestling, for a long time. Even back when he was in TNA, I was just a fan of everything he did. He pulls off everything so well. Cody is able to work with pretty much anybody in the ring and make it an enjoyable match. Again, I don't think that AJ Styles is going to take the title from Cody. I think all these championship matches are kind of just fillers. We know who's going to win, but I'm actually looking forward to actually seeing them pull a story in the ring.
Yeah, I'm with that. And I like Backlash as an event altogether. It doesn't have the same star power it used to have in the early 2000s. Like when you had those matches between Undertaker and Batista. I believe it was the last man standing match where they both were down for the count at 10. But like, at least it's not called WrestleMania Backlash anymore. It's just its own thing again. It's just back to being Backlash.
Yeah.
I like this idea of going international for some of these events. It allows a broader crowd to have eyes on this thing that we all love, which is professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited for Backlash.
It's cool for the fans to have these international wrestling events, but my problem with them a lot of times,
the timing,
with a few exemptions, is that you don't really get that many title changes or that big of stuff happening. Even with Backlashes, with title changes really in the past. The AJ Styles and Cody storyline has some great potential in it. If they're able to build that story, if they choose to go to the history that's not in WWE, I think that would be great. Or at least,
you gotta start cutting promos between the two of them.
Yeah, mention it somewhat, at least.
You can't just have Cody come out and rant about his mom or The Rock.
Yeah, but
he's got to talk AJ.
Yeah, and they have potential to make their own story just here in WWE if they choose. They're both, very talented and creative in that way. Hopefully we will get some of that and some animosity built up between them in the coming weeks now before the event, and we don't just get some more bland missionary promos from Cody, But I think Cody will ultimately win, of course.
Yeah. And like I said, I think that hopefully the build is good, but we know in the ring it's going to be good. What's going to happen in the ring is going to be good. I can't say the same about the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know how that match is going to go. I've kind of fallen out with how I feel about Jey Uso's in-ring style. It's the same shit over and over again. But we know with AJ and Cody, AJ and Cody have both been known to kind of blend their styles to work with the other wrestler, and them having their own style and being able both to blend styles in the match. I think it's going to be really interesting and very entertaining match.
Yeah. Hey, let's get the Usos back together.
Yes.
The tag
please.
team division is better with them.
They should do the tribal when they come out again.
I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
you scared the shit out of me.
I fucking love that shit when they came out and they're like, "Papa," and fucking all the like the tiki
Doing
torches would light up and
what's it
shit.
called?
That shit was so good,
Might
so
as well
good.
just apologize now, man.
Yeah.
I apologize for nothing. So, yep. So that's just some news going around in the wrestling world this week. We're gonna stay up to date and hopefully have some more content for you guys coming out soon. But
Don't forget, the draft starts this Friday night on SmackDown. Carries over. I think it will end the following Friday. Backlash is a week from Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern start time due to it being in France.
Ooh.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening to us. Whether or not you agree or disagree with our views, we love the support nonetheless.
yeah, thank you for listening along, and we hope to be bringing some more wrestling news to you very soon. And we really hope that you guys give us some ideas what you want us to talk about, because if you give us some information, we can talk more about whatever you like to talk about. And I love ranting about shit that I don't like talking about. So for now, you have been listening to the wrestling news for the week. I'm Jesse with Andy and Kevin.
And you've been listening to the Ringside Renaissance Wrestling Podcast. Stay tuned for more. Peace.
Boom.